Hey guys, it's Travis. I'm here with Brad, and you are watching and or listening to I Must Stand. I Must Stand is more than just a podcast. It's more than a video series, but it is a commitment. I Must Stand as a resolve to take the responsibility needed to keep not one,
but
both feet in the game, moving towards the future worth living. We help people gain clarity on their aim and break the mindset that they are defined by the space between. The I Must Stand mindset is having a constant awareness of the time in one's life that they fall into patterns of victimhood and realizing that taking responsibility is what? It's the only way out.
It's the only way.
Responsibility is the way. We provide transformational events and coaching for men, equipping them to take responsibility for their faith, family, body, and business. Speaking of business, we mean business today.
We do mean business.
Do you see this setup right now?
This is a cool setup.
Producer Brian is absolutely killing it. This is, I think, our first official reference to producer Brian, but I do want to give him a shout out for this amazing setup because we have some awesome guests coming up in some different episodes, and this is a great way for us to be able to interact with them.
Yeah.
But also it's forcing us to really intimately gaze into each other's eyes as we discuss whatever we're going to discuss today.
That's right.
So how do you feel as you look into my eyes?
You know, there's a little bit of uncomfort in it, but I'm okay with being in the uncomfortable.
Yeah. Just so you know, and just so everyone's aware, the uncomfortable part comes from you, not from me.
Oh, wow. That's good to know.
Yeah. All right. We could keep on going with that for a little bit, but let's not. Let's talk about what we are going to talk about today, which is the way the world occurs to us, or the way the world relates to us, the way that we relate to the world. So there is a great book called The 3 Laws of Performance, and the first law inside of that is the way the world occurs to us has a direct correlation to the way that we perform in it. So essentially saying, here's an example. If I see myself, or if the world occurs to me as I am a victim, things are happening to me, then I will respond in being a victim. Right? So if I think that work is difficult, then when I am performing in work, it will be difficult.
Correct.
If I think that my spouse is nagging me or is all sorts of, if I view her as unsupportive, if that's the way that if I see that as my reality, then it will become the reality.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
So you were spitting some Bible verses here a second ago. I think that fit really well with this topic. Please share for the class.
Yeah. No, just reading in Proverbs this morning. As a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. Again, in Proverbs 15:15, if a man thinks gloomy thoughts, he will be gloomy. If a man thinks cheerful thoughts, well, guess what? He's gonna have a pretty happy life. So, obviously paraphrasing there, but it gives you the biblical sense of, this transformational work that we're about and the way that we relate to that future that we're working with, and the world around us, how we relate to it. This isn't a new concept. No, this concept is older than humanity probably, but there's a lot of context to this it's founded. I mean, you can take a look at the world around you, and just like you said, like if you think something's going to be terrible, it's going to be terrible. If you can reframe that thing and make it look appealing, even the uncomfortableness, like this gazing in each other's eyes.
I fail to see where that's an issue for you, but continue on.
I'm reframing this.
Yeah. Shouldn't have to take much work, but go on.
It gives you the ability to create the world around you.
Yeah.
It puts you in the driver's seat. We often are passengers, or seemingly passengers in this life, and we give so much of our power away to circumstance, to ideology, to, where did I come from? Where am I going? All the question marks, instead of jumping in the driver's seat and actually making those calls. So
yeah,
when we talk about relating to the world around us, that's what comes to mind for me, and that's what comes to mind for, I believe, most of the people listening to us. They want to take control of their lives. Like, you're not listening to this podcast or watching this video and saying, I just want more of the same. You're looking for some kind of change. I
Sure.
mean, this is just where our audience is headed, and it's where we want to take them.
Yeah. And to your point, the biblical principle or the biblical foundation for a lot of this work, every conversation, every podcast that we've had where we've talked through a topic, there's biblical foundation for all of it.
Sure.
And so encouragement and shout out for people watching or listening. If you are not studying the Word of God, I would highly recommend that you do so. And we put it in today's language, and just reframing the way that we talk about it even might help connect to some people, but it is still absolutely biblically based stuff. I want to talk through some examples to help kind of bring a grasp to someone who might be struggling with the terms we're using, right? It seems kind of easy to understand the way the world occurs to us, or the way that something happens, the way that we see it, the way that we make it seen in our eyes, will then correlate to how we respond to it. What's an example that you can give of a time that you have had this happen, like maybe an experience that happened one time where you viewed it a certain way, and then you changed the way you related to it, and it was the same experience, but for you it was totally different. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I'm putting you on the spot.
I'm on the spot. And
I have an example ready to go if you want time to think about it.
You know, if your example is ready to go, I'd love to hear it.
Yeah, sure. That's on me. I did not set you up for success.
It's okay. I've got stories, but I'd like to hear what you've got to say first.
All right. Thank you, Bradley. I've been waiting to tell this story. So this year, I had two very similar things that happened at work. So at the beginning of the year, I was doing a project, and it was in Salt Lake City. And just getting everything prepped up to go for it. There's a lot of new stepping into some roles just based off of team availability and what's going on, that was pushing me to have to jump into some things that I wasn't necessarily comfortable with. Mm-hmm. And I didn't feel fully ready for, and didn't have a lot of support in. So as I'm going through this process, I'm viewing this as, instead of saying, wow, what an opportunity that I'm trusted to figure this out. The people trust me to take care of this project. They trust me, Travis. They know they would know if I'm ready or not. They trust me to figure it out. I didn't view it that way. I viewed it as, these jerks are not giving me the resources I need to be successful.
Sure.
They're not giving me their time. I have questions and I can't get them answered sooner. I'm having to find out all this stuff. So I was like, this is me, and it's by myself, and I don't feel supported in this experience.
Right.
And that led me to, at the back end of it, I'm walking in frustration. I'm angry. I've learned not much, because instead of spending time learning things, I spent time complaining about things, right? So that's one isolated incident. Fast forward to end of the year, there's a project which is roughly 10 times the size of this project at the beginning of the year. And I had fewer resources to work with, less availability from the rest of our team to help out with. And it was in a very, very stressful time. And every morning when I was waking up, I was saying, okay, I have to view this as an opportunity.
Sure.
I have to see this as an opportunity to learn, to grow, to prove to myself that I can do this, to prove to the team that I can do this. They're not withholding intentionally. If I feel that there is a withhold, I'm not going to make up that it's on purpose and that they're doing it to be, because they don't care.
Right.
Which was another place that I went to in my mind. I automatically started the first time when I related to it as, this is happening to me, this sucks. My assumptions went through the roof on all the negatives about these people.
Right.
The inverse, I had to learn so many things, and things that I wouldn't have pushed myself to learn probably outside of this context, things that make me significantly more, my earning opportunities are way higher now that I know how to do this stuff.
Sure.
And the project is going well, and I'm able to solve problems. I'm being seen as in the company as someone who can manage and solve their own problems, which is great.
Yeah.
So very similar circumstances, completely different ways that I related to them, completely different end results mentally.
Yeah.
Right?
I can see the shift. I can see where you went from, the world is happening to me, to taking the responsibility piece to the world is happening because of me.
Heck yeah.
That's a huge distinction. Like, it's literally the mind shift of a winner and a loser. So thinking back on some of the instances that I've gone through, one of the most pivotal points in my life where I had a shift in the way the world occurred for me and the way I related to the world was through a pretty big lawsuit. I'll take you back just a little bit, and for those listening, we wound up actually suing the state of North Carolina because of a issue we were having with a product that we had out originally. Some time went by. A certain department in North Carolina told us we couldn't use that product anymore, that it wasn't actually approved. So we had to go through this huge lawsuit, very expensive. We're talking 2-year lawsuit, right about a 2-year lawsuit back and forth. And one thing when you're suing the state, there's a lot of time clock. Like, they want to run the time clock up. So you're literally just flushing money down the toilet every hour.
If the government's good at one thing, it's procrastinating.
It's procrastinating, dragging their feet. And half of the time when they win, it's because they've run your lawyer clock just through the roof. They want you to forfeit. Yeah. So that strategy almost worked on me. Luckily pushed through that. And we came out on the other side ahead. But going into that, I had this mindset of, this is happening to me. Why is this happening to me? And the same things you experienced. I had the frustration, the anxiety, all the things that came with that big ticket item. Doubting yourself, self-doubt, seeing all the negative sides of what's going on in the moment. Fast forward, yes, we win the lawsuit, which is great. But more than that win, I think the win for me was being able to see all the adversity, all the challenges that were wrapped up in that problem turn into a lifestyle or a skill set of harnessing the bad and turning it for good, like jumping from that passenger seat into the driver's seat.
Yeah.
The world's happening because of me, not to me.
Right.
And I've used that. Now another adversity, had a multi-billion-dollar company coming after us and our product, and trying to more or less put our company out of business by putting this product out there. And they were doing it in a really sleazy way. But instead of getting completely worked up about it, getting in anxiety or, just frustration, all those attitudes that I had towards the other major event, I actually got to see this one as an opportunity because I saw out of the last big thing, I saw the growth that came out of it. So when this new challenge arose, got to see a completely different side of myself show up.
Yeah.
So the mind shift there, it's powerful.
Yeah. And when you start to change your perspective on it, when you change the way you relate to it, it gives you confidence moving forward.
Sure.
You start to run towards the challenge.
Yeah.
Not run away from it. And I think of times in my life where when I identified a problem, it's incredible how much this principle matters to your ability to win. Right? To get your mind right and say, this is an issue that is going to make me better.
Yeah.
Even if I fail. I'm going to run at this with everything I got.
Right.
And probably some people watching, listening, that need that reminder to whatever the obstacle is, it is the way.
Yeah, it is the way.
It is the way. It is the way towards your growth. It is the way towards the future that you want to have in your life. The conversations that you're unwilling to have right now, the problems at home that you're unwilling to address with your spouse, the issues at work, the constant choosing not to go to the gym and you know it's the thing that you need to do, like those are the way.
Right.
Change the way you relate to them. So I know we are making it sound super easy, but we didn't necessarily have a framework for it until we went through trainings ourselves and we experienced coaching ourselves.
Sure.
One thing that we learned, one question that we learned in coaching that has been very powerful for me, for you, for a lot of people who've experienced this, is when we experience a situation, we're in the middle of a circumstance and we're viewing it in such a way, this one question will change everything. What else could be true or truer?
Yeah. No, that's powerful. And another way to put it is, if this belief doesn't serve me, how can I look at this belief differently?
Yeah.
So that it can serve me in the future.
Right.
And you can go back and you can reframe the past. We'll get into some of that. I know some of our future episodes will be talking about reframing the past and how that can create the future you want. But how does a current belief serve you? And how is that belief able to be manipulated in your mind? Because it can. I mean, if we have a pliable mind, we have a mind that's willing to accept the things we see, accept the things we don't see, and then just kind of differentiate what serves us. What things are we willing to let into our world that serve us, and what things are non-negotiables not willing to?
Yeah. When asking that question, you're challenging the belief that you hold.
Right.
Which is tough because a lot of times it is tightly ingrained. We have our evidence. We have our proof. We have the reasons why we believe this is the way that the situation is playing out. But when we say what else could be true or truer, it is effectively saying, let's put your belief system on hold for a moment. Let's put all the people that you're accusing, all the circumstances you're blaming, they get to be free for a moment.
Right.
They are released. What else could be true? And you start to go down these paths where if you can just begin to, well, maybe instead of this person doing this because they don't like me, maybe they're completely unaware of it and I'm making that up.
Yeah.
That could be true.
That's true.
Maybe in this work circumstance, instead of people not helping me, or when I said, I don't have the help that I need, I don't have the resources that I need, maybe it's not that they were withholding resources from me. It's that they saw something in me that I didn't even see in myself.
Right.
They saw that I was going to be capable of figuring it out, and they trusted me to do it so that they could spend their time where they thought was more effective.
Yeah, one of the things I want to encourage anybody listening, our versions of truth always have room for exploration.
Yeah.
Like your truth, while it may be true to you right now, always has another side to it, always has another avenue to explore.
Yeah. Which is really tough for someone like me, because I'm very objective, black and white. This is how it is, this is how it isn't. You know, like there is objective truth. And I believe that there is still objective truth. But to what you were saying, we are subjectively looking at it. Right? There is a thing that happens objectively, but we bring our subjective selves with all of our mess, and then we interpret what's going on.
Yeah.
So that's what this whole premise is about, the changing the way we relate to it. Instead of, here's this objective thing that happens, what am I to do with this information?
Right.
I can make up this, or I can make up something that serves me.
Right. And that's a choice.
And it is a choice.
It's always a choice.
It sounds crazy, but it's pretty dang easy. Like it's when you become aware of it.
Yeah.
Awareness brings about a choice.
Yeah. When you use that framework that we're talking about right here.
Yeah.
when you use that framework, you'll create your own filter, a filter that becomes the new version of you, the version that you would like to be. And that filter is going to evolve. I mean, it's going to change. You're going to become a better version of yourself if you're willing to just have the flexibility and explore in those different things.
Yeah. Keyword is always awareness.
Oh yeah.
Because we will make a judgment or an assumption. And in that first law that we're talking about today says our performance is in direct correlation to this belief, right? Which everything with that checks out.
Yeah.
So what? So we would want to be aware of how we hold these beliefs or how we form these beliefs. And oftentimes we take them to be true. And we don't challenge our own narratives. We don't challenge the way that you're saying. And so to agree with you, yes, the beliefs have to be held somewhat loosely. Are you willing to investigate? Are you willing to check in to say, even why did I form that belief?
Sure.
Take inventory of your life. Question everything. Why? Okay, this is the position I got to. And this is the way that my actions are falling downstream of this. How did I get here?
Yeah.
If I challenge this, which is what we're talking about, but not just challenge the belief itself, but challenge why you got to that belief.
Right.
Why did I jump first to assuming this? Oh, it's because this is a strategy for me. It's easier for me. It took less energy from me. It took less resource away from keeping the spacesuit alive. Took way less of me. It was way less risky for me to assume something negative about something and not seek clarity than it was for me to challenge that and then potentially bring about a tough conversation and spend energy challenging that assumption.
Sure.
And we'll talk about this later on about the how our bodies and the strategies our bodies are using. We've alluded to it before, and we're going to do podcasts more talking about the spacesuit, which I'm super excited about.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's interesting how all that plays out. And I'll give an action item to all of this information. I was unaware of any of these patterns and how they affected me in my life until I did coaching.
Yeah.
And if you are watching or listening, and this is something that as we're talking through, you can say, you know what, I've seen that in my own life. I've seen where I've maybe jumped to a conclusion here, or I've formed a belief. I've seen a certain circumstance in a specific way. And then I can see clearly now how my actions have corresponded to that.
Sure.
And I don't know how to undo that.
Yeah.
That's what coaching is here to do.
Yeah, we get dogmatic in the way that we think, and we only have a lens to look through until we're willing to put on another set of glasses. So what we do through coaching is we help you change out those lenses and give you a new perspective on what's possible. You know what you know, and then there's things out there you don't know. We go out there and help you explore those things. Like that's what we've made it our life's mission to do, is to jump in the trenches with these men and explore those places so they can 2x, 10x, 20x their lives. They want to live a better version of their lives, but they're not able to do that until they get a different perspective than they currently have.
Yeah. If you keep on running into the same issues with your business and you feel stuck in that, invite a coach in. If your marriage is struggling, you feel like you're going around the same relational issues time and time again, bring a coach in.
Yeah.
If you are struggling physically, like you just can't get those habits, you can't break bad eating habits, you can't break bad gym habits, or just exercise in general habits.
Yeah.
Or I say breaking bad habits. Some people don't even have habits, and that's a bad habit. But if you, and to challenge the most important aim, if you're struggling in your faith, if that's something that you feel that you're stuck in and that there's no traction in, invite a coach in. That's, Brad and I want to help you with that. So
yeah, there's from a business perspective, I get to see and meet with a lot of business owners and founders, CEOs, even managers. And typically I find people in one of two categories. And not to say that everyone's in these categories, but typically I find people in one of two categories. One, either their business is outgrowing their ability to actually be an effective leader, or they've not been an effective leader up until now, and their businesses are struggling because of that, whether they've plateaued, they're dropping off. We're looking at a potential winter here, a downturn or recession, it's been looming for a while. And these guys are always looking for the next edge. How are we going to survive this thing? How are we going to, create enough income or get enough bandwidth in the community that we'll be able to supply? That's what we do. That is exactly what we do. We help bring these leaders up to what they're called to do. You don't just step into a place of leadership, whether that's in your family or in your body or your business, your finances, like all these things. You don't step into leadership without having a calling, and that's what we do. We call it out of you.
Yeah. And again, the obstacle is the way.
Yeah.
You want to do big things, you got to run towards some big obstacles.
Sure. And get some perspective on what those obstacles are.
Yeah.
Because if you don't have a correct perspective on what those obstacles are, you may not see things as an obstacle.
We could just mic drop on that if we could make these things just push down on the table. The biggest thing that people typically don't see is the obstacle is themselves.
Sure.
And how to master themselves. But I'll do this quick shout out before we head out. Thank you for the conversation. Hopefully it's been helpful for you. If you like, or if this is resonating with you, the conversation, challenging you in any sort of way, we'd love for you to leave reviews, 5 stars. I don't know all the different grading processes across every platform that this is going to be on. So just say nice things or helpful things, and share it with your friends. And the other thing I want to invite you into is maybe coaching is the next step for you. Maybe this is something that you need to have some outside perspective on. And if that is the case, you can check out how to do that at imuststand.com. We'd love to connect with you. You can just DM us on social media as well to figure out next steps for that. One last plug, we have our first transformational event of 2024 scheduled for the end of April. The Wake Weekend. It's a pattern interrupt. It's going to be an awesome time. Get together with 29 other dudes, including yourself, 30 total other men that are going to be there. It's going to be awesome. So we've got 4 of those plugged up for next year. We'd love to see you at one of them. You can find out more information at imuststand.com. Until then, thank you so much for watching and or listening, and we will see you next time. Thanks.